So in this video, I actually want to tell you not to invest in startups and not to do any sort of, angel investing or anything like that. I don't think that this is going to be very good for most people, and you should be very, very well aware of that. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. So I created this sharing economy editing platform, Reciprocity. The E is written with a 3. And, I actually want to talk to you about this, right? So me as a professor that understands a lot of stuff about entrepreneurship, innovation, strategy, and stuff, me investing in this reciprocity.com. That is really unusual for most professors that are in my domain. Extremely unusual. It's weird. And actually want to tell you why that is the case, right? Where you would think that as there are very smart people out there, we would be investing in a lot of stuff. And we would be making a ton of money, right? All those kind of things. But I really need to discourage you from doing that. So if you're kind of an average person, or if you made a lot of money in a certain area, I really want to tell you to be very conservative with what you're doing. So, here's the reasons why you want to sort of not invest in startups. It's a really, really risky thing, and you're probably likely going to lose most of your money. So for most startup investing, for most angel investing, the goal is never really to make a return. The goal is actually to get your money back. So you have to view it as charity that is gone, it's disappeared, more than you're actually investing, right? That is very, very important sort of mindset. It's a huge mindset shift. So just imagine when you're doing this, you're giving that money away and it's gone and it's never coming back. Now, if by chance it is the 1 out of 10,000 things that you've invested in and it has high returns, then you might get some money back. But for the most part, it's gone. And so I'd really discourage you from doing that. Venture capitalists know this, and that's why they have venture capital funds. And they spend years going through and making sure that they are doing it correctly and they're investing, and they still lose a lot of money. They do very, very poorly on average, except for the one that they invest in that takes off. And they're very smart people. So this is the sort of second thing to realize, is that the returns that you get are often extremely skewed. So for the most, what does that mean? It means for every 1,000 startups that you're going to invest in, you're going to get 0. It is going to be 0. And then there's going to be one that is actually going to make a lot of money, that there'll be, 10x or 100x or whatever the number, like times as large as what you thought it would be, right? It's going to be totally surprising. You're really probably not going to have a good sense of which one it's going to be, because everything is a good idea when you're starting out. And so it's really, really hard to sort of predict that. And you really don't have a good sense of that. The third thing that I think is important and sort of related to this sort of charity mindset, is you really just need to have a lot of time. And you need to not care about those investments, right? Or you need to care deeply about investing your time and stuff, but at the same time not care about the money of that it's gone, right? So the reason is if you're investing, think about this, right? So a good, well-managed company, IBM, if they're investing in something that they're expecting, say they build a new product, they're still looking at, and this is IBM, a large company, and they have the resources, the marketing, and all that kind of stuff. They're still looking at getting a return from creating a new product that's probably 5 to 10 years out. So if you invest in a startup that doesn't know what they're doing, that doesn't have the sort of base of consumers to pay attention to them, all those kind of things, you're probably looking at it's going to take you 10 to 20 years by the time you actually get some sort of return, just kind of normally as doing normal things without kind of crazy explosive growth or anything like that. So just know that is going to be very, very important. To put that into perspective, how long this is going to take. It's not going to be a year. It's not going to be 2 years. it's going to take a while before you actually get any sort of money back with what you're doing. And so you have to realize that it's gone once you've invested in it. The fourth thing that I think is very important, and there's huge literature on all of this in many different domains, but most people very much suck at identifying, good people. They suck at identifying opportunities, and sort of it's very, very hard to look at something and say, hey, this is going to turn out. We just know that it's very difficult. We have a lot of biases, decision-making biases that sort of prevent us from seeing these things. And, if we're sort of colored, our eyes are colored, and we're sort of seeing something in either very rosy or pessimistic sort of views, then we're going to miss out on those opportunities, or we're going to overinvest in something. And it's very easy to do that. The other thing, so this is a really important thing. So if you're investing in startups, it's likely because you are doing it, to make money fast, right? To do the quick wins, to become famous or rich and famous and all that kind of stuff. I need to tell you something. Money makes very little. It really doesn't change much. After a certain level in your life, it really doesn't change much of how you feel and what you're doing. A lot of that is just your personality. And it's just like who you are as an individual. So don't really think about that it's going to change your life by actually making a bunch of money by doing this. It's not. It just really is not. You're going to feel the same if you have a ton of money versus if you have, a moderate kind of amount of money. Like, I'm not saying that you're on, food stamps or going to the food bank or whatever. But, if you have a moderate life, you should be okay. And it's not going to change that much if you make a ton of money versus a little bit of money. It really just does not. And how you feel about things. It's just more stuff. And another thing that's important that people forget about is technology itself just doesn't depend on the technology. It depends on the perceptions of the technology and having the right environment. So you might have something that's really good, but if you're not in the right environment, if the perceptions of the technology are just not there, like people just don't view it in the right way, it's not going to take off. And so it's hard to get to that point where you sort of identify something that is going to take off and going to do well. And it doesn't just depend on the technology itself. It depends on so many other factors. And you can't sort of understand what those factors are until you've actually built this thing out. And then by that time, you've spent a lot of money and it's gone, right? So that's really, really important. And, the other thing that I think we all forget is that doing good things in life, whatever that looks like, it takes an enormous amount of time, an enormous amount of effort, right? Like, you can't expect anything that is going to be good to be quicker than a decade. It's got to take a long time for it to actually come out and do something that is worthwhile. So expect it to take a decade or two by the time you actually get any sort of returns on something that you're doing. It's just, look around. Look at all the things that are good. Look at building a building, for example, and how long it actually takes. And you know what a building looks like, right? Like, building a home takes you a good couple years if you're doing it without understanding things and stuff like that. So just plan. It's going to take a long time by the time you actually build this thing out and it turns into something that's great. So, that's why I think it's so important that most people should not invest in startups. I don't, other than the Reciprocity Project. Everything else is, just index funds or just living my life, putting it into, a savings account or whatever. It's very difficult to do this and to do it right. So with that, give me a thumbs up and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.